Good luck.
A long time ago, in the distant year of 1996, there lay a sequel to a famous video game that almost didn't see the light of day. In that game was Star Fox 2. Developed by Nintendo EAD as well as Argonaut Software, aka the people who made fucking Croc, Star Fox 2 was released in the slightly delayed year of 2017. It is the Super Nintendo follow-up to its similarly titled predecessor, Star Fox. A lot of people may not know about Star Fox 2, and that's to be expected. To make a short story long, the game was 95% complete before inevitably getting scrapped. However, like most nearly finished games, a prototype was leaked online for people to play in the late 90s and early 2000s. However, the final beta build that was leaked online was only in Japanese, and so it took a group of modders to come together to translate an English version, and it took them over 100 hours to complete it. With how much attention the game was getting, Nintendo decided to finally actually release the game in its entirety on the Super Nintendo Classic system. You know, the little, basically emulator box? The build that we got on the SNES Classic was actually the final build made by the team back in 1995, but just with some slight tweaks to fit the modern era. It was then released on Nintendo Switch Online for the Super Nintendo service in December of 2019. And was all of this even worth it? Well, let's find out. It's your standard fare Star Fox game with on-rail space shooting action, except for Star Fox 2, they took a much more three-dimensional approach, where you're able to free roam around the stage a lot more than the original to attack enemies. And with the addition of a walker mode to the R-Wing, that lent to even more diversity in level traversal, especially when you get to transform back and forth between the two modes mid-stage. That shit was awesome. You also get to select which pilot you want to play as, with Fox, Falco, Peppy, and Slippy making a return, as well as newcomers who have never appeared again in any other game after this, Miyu and Faye. You also get to select a partner pilot that you can switch between or will take your place if you die tragically. So the story here is that Andross is back and he's killing the entire Lylat system, and we don't like that, so he should die for it. This game throws you into a strategy-style map system where you can select and manage your locations in a completely open fashion, while the game throws a bunch of random shit at you to deal with at the same time. This allows you to deal with the situation at hand in the way you see fit, and I honestly think it's a really cool system that not only allows for planning and creativity, but also the feeling of the repercussions of your actions in real time. The directive of the game is simple: keep Corneria from blowing up and get to Andross by taking down his bases on neighboring planets, all the while dealing with Starwolf interrupting at the worst possible times when you're trying to stop a missile simultaneously. After a while, you eventually reach Andross and confront him in his scary cube form, only to get warped to a scary Warble dimension, where you fight Andross in his scary cube form. Although to be fair, to start off the second phase, he does use a mask, and then resorts to throwing selfies of himself at you. The game introduces a lot of elements that are very unique to this game that weren't in the last one, like a giant mechanical dragon. That shit was fucking awesome. Most of the time you're just going through the levels destroying whatever the target was for the level, or you're pressing down buttons that will destroy whatever the target of the level was. The gameplay is very simple. It's not complicated, but honestly I kinda like that. It's just, hey, here's what you have to do. You got it. Not to mention you're able to revisit Corneria in order to heal, or you can head back to the Great Fox to heal as well as a teleportation system to be able to get around the map a lot more quickly, which I actually thought was a really nice touch. Seeing as you also move around the map at a fucking snail's pace, it was nice that you were able to incorporate that, because I think the developers knew that it would have been really annoying to have to manually fly back and forth between Corneria and the spot you were just in, so thank you for that, whoever thought of that. While I do admire the more 3D aspect approach to this game, I will say that because of the limited graphics, it got really confusing a lot. While it is nice that they gave you like an arrow and like a target monitor sort of mapping system the whole time, it still got really confusing trying to traverse your way around empty space to kill one target. You're able to roll as well to avoid enemy fire, but it is incredibly hard to avoid enemy fire. This is also why I picked my characters very carefully in this game. I picked Peppy and Slippy, not only because I love those characters very dearly, but also because they were the R-Wings with the most amount of health in the game. Peppy and Slippy are the tanks of this game, which kind of pays off when you're being fired at all the time. Fox and Falco will act as your kind of medium characters, kind of all around. And they have Miyu and Faye, who act more as your agility characters characters who are faster, but have way less health. So at the end of the game, when we defeat Andross, we save the Lilat system, we get a rank, and are booted back to the start screen. And with such an intense space strategy war game with multiple characters, planets, and bosses and missions, do you know how long this game was? 40 minutes. No, I'm fucking serious. This game took us 38 minutes to complete for the Cartridge Crusaders, even less considering menus and credits, and I didn't even die once. And I'm not even complaining about that. It's a very short and concise and well-developed game. And it was honestly a lot of fun. But if this is what the final game looked like, what did it look like during development back in the 90s? Well, for starters, this was apparently the game that was supposed to originally introduce Star Wolf, but because it was canceled, they instead made their debut in Star Fox 64. I thought this was a really interesting piece of trivia because I didn't realize how late into the game Star Wolf was actually introduced. Well, I say late into the game, but technically Star Fox 64 was the second game in the series, so I guess it wasn't that late in the series. I also just love this piece of concept art of Star Wolf for Star Fox 2 because the art style is really cute and the characters look really funny. So I just wanted to share that with you all. There was also supposed to be a UFO transformation for the characters as well, but it just got scrapped randomly in development. Apparently it was available to use during one of the beta builds, but I couldn't find any footage of it or screenshots. But I did find concept art, and honestly, yeah, looking at these do look like UFO R-Wings. They are actually articulated really well, and there's even directions on how they would move. It's really, really articulated. Now I just kind of want to know what the hell it would have even been used for. I'm assuming it was supposed to be used for more concise aerial movement, which could have been really cool for some of the levels, but I kind of get that it was pointless to leave it in. It was also supposed to be a two-player battle mode that was supposed to make its way into the game, but they removed it. And I don't know why, because it was basically done. There was nothing really wrong with it. It seemed pretty complete, but they removed it anyway. I don't know what the harm in keeping it was. My guess is probably to save space on the cartridge. I don't know, it just seems weird to remove an entire mode that was basically finished. I don't know, maybe it just ran like crap with the frame rate or something. Also, thank fuck they changed the title 2 from a big red 2 to a cool and space opera looking 2, you tools. They also originally had a sheep character in earlier builds, only to realize how much she looked like a cute dog and changed her into Faye for the final game. But I do like the sheep concept. I think it's fun. You can see it in this early title screen. What the fuck is happening outside? The art style also used to be a lot more flat and cartoonish, and I honestly almost prefer it, especially this great expression on Slippy they got going on. Cheeky little fuck. As opposed to the final, where Faye went from this to this, and Slippy... Star Fox 2 is a true testament to taking your original concept and expanding it exponentially. From one playable character to 6, and an additional gameplay gimmick for your ship that I personally think is way cooler than the Landmaster, this game really took the limits of the original and pushed way past them. The level of design and creativity on display is truly inspiring, and the enjoyment from the developers making it very clearly shines through. And although the story is simple, the final boss is kinda silly, and the frame rate is dog water, I still think it holds its own as a proper Star Fox game. I'd even go as far as to call it my favorite. So with such a cool addition to the Star Fox franchise, and with the game like 95% complete, why on earth did they cancel it? Well, you can thank the Sega Saturn and Sony PlayStation for that. Star Fox 2 was actually developed using the Super FX 2 chip, try saying that 5 times fast. God, that's such a stupid fucking name for that thing. Which is just an upgraded version of the Super FX chip used to make the original Star Fox game. However, since Star Fox 2 looked prehistoric compared to the new 3D games in the mid-90s, and since it was expensive to make the Super FX 2 chip, Nintendo decided it would be best to finish it completely, cancel it, and store it in their archives. Which is psycho shit because they had an English version fully made and QA tested, only to shelve it. But hey, whatever, when you have devoted developers and fuck you money to throw around, who cares, right? But to be completely honest with you, I'm actually really glad that they fully completed it because had they not, we probably never would have seen it. Or at the very least, we would have never seen an official release. We may have had the beta builds, but to quote an Argonaut software developer, the last 10% that was missing from that beta build is 90% of the game. So it would have just felt like we were missing out on the entire experience. Star Fox 2 truly is the black sheep of the series. Well, I guess except for Guard. And Command. And Adventures. This franchise really has experimented a lot, hasn't it? But honestly, some of my least favorite titles from this franchise are the ones that just blindly followed its own formula. I actually enjoy when they experiment a lot more than when they're just like on-rail shoot gun ship gameplay. That just kind of gets boring after a while. And although the original Star Fox and Star Fox 64 hold their own as really fantastic games and great experiences all around, it's the games like Star Fox 2 or Star Fox Assault that really make me more interested in this world and its characters. I mean, for fuck's sake, Assault gave you the ability to walk on foot and drive a tank and drive the R-Wing. And also, the multiplayer is the best in the whole series, bar none, no competition. I know a lot of people gave Star Fox Zero shit, but Star Fox Zero is just a better version of Star Fox 2. So shut up and fuck you. But anyway, I just felt that it was kind of important to talk about Star Fox 2 because it's not a game that a lot of people pay a lot of attention to. I don't mean to be so aggressive and like a protective parent over this game, but I really, really do love Star Fox 2, and I think that there's so much about that game that can be learned from, and it's my special little boy, and you will love him. But anyway, with all that being aside, I'm really glad that we actually got to play Star Fox 2. I'm really glad that it came out, and I'm glad that Nintendo decided, hey, you know, maybe that finished thing that we made should come out because it's important that people see it. And also, it's just done, and we're holding it for no reason. But anyway, that's all for today's video, so thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Good luck.